What if I told you that your dark side, the part of you that wants power, that thinks strategically, that sees through people's lies, isn't something to fear, it's something to master? From the moment you're old enough to understand right from wrong, you're taught to be nice, to share, to put others first, to never be selfish, never be manipulative, never think about what you want at someone else's expense. You learn to smile when you're angry, to say yes when you mean no, to suppress every instinct that might make you seem aggressive or ambitious or hungry for more, and you believe it. You believe that being good is the path to success, that if you just work hard and stay humble and treat people well, eventually you'll be rewarded. Eventually someone will notice. Eventually your turn will come. But look at who actually has power in this world. The saints? The selfless? The people who always put others first? No. It's the people who learn to use their dark side strategically, the ones who know when to show teeth and when to smile, the ones who understand that morality is a game, and the people who win are the ones who know the rules well enough to bend them without breaking. Society's obsession with goodness isn't about morality, it's about control, because a person who embraces their full nature, light and dark, is a person who can't be manipulated, can't be guilted into working for less, can't be shamed into silence, can't be controlled through moral programming that was designed to keep them weak. Because here's what Machiavelli understood 500 years ago. The person who denies their dark side doesn't become good. They just become weak, easy to use, easy to control, easy to defeat. And the world they live in, it's run by people who mastered what they were too afraid to even acknowledge. Let me ask you something. Who benefits from you always being nice? Who wins when you suppress your ambition because it feels selfish? Who profits when you're too moral to negotiate hard, too kind to set boundaries, too good to walk away from people who use you? It's not you. It's everyone who needs you predictable, controllable, safe. You were taught that selfishness is a sin. But who taught you that? People who benefit from your selflessness. You were taught that manipulation is evil. But who's doing the teaching? People who are manipulating you into believing that so you never learn to do it yourself. You were taught to feel guilty about wanting power. But guilt is just a control mechanism. And the people who installed it in you, they don't feel guilty at all. Because here's the truth about morality that nobody wants to say out loud. It's a luxury. It's something you can afford when you already have power, when you're secure, when you've already won. But when you're fighting for survival, for success, for the life you actually want, morality becomes a handicap, a set of rules that only you follow while everyone else plays a different game entirely. Machiavelli wrote The Prince in 1532. And for 500 years, people have called him evil, immoral, a teacher of tyranny. But here's what they miss. Machiavelli wasn't teaching evil, he was teaching reality. He was describing how power actually works, not how we wish it worked. And the people who call him evil, they're the ones who benefit from you not knowing what he knew. The Prince wasn't a manual for becoming a monster. It was a manual for seeing the world as it actually is, for understanding that the person who appears most virtuous is often the most dangerous, that the leader who everyone loves is often the weakest, that kindness without the capacity for cruelty is just weakness with better branding, and that if you want to build something, protect something, achieve something real, you need to be comfortable with your dark side, not consumed by it, not ruled by it, but comfortable enough to use it when the situation demands it. In Renaissance Italy, the most successful princes weren't the kindest, they were the most strategic. Cesare Borgia, Machiavelli's model for the prince, conquered half of Italy, not through goodness, but through calculated ruthlessness. He was brutal when he needed to be, merciful when it served his interests. He appeared virtuous to those he needed to impress and showed his teeth to those who threatened him. And he understood something that most people never learn. That power respects strength, not goodness. That loyalty is built through a combination of fear and love, not love alone. That the world doesn't reward the most moral person, it rewards the most effective one. And you know what happened to all the virtuous princes? The ones who refused to be ruthless, the ones who believed that goodness alone would protect them, they died. Their cities were conquered, their families destroyed, their legacies erased, because while they were performing morality, someone else was playing the actual game, and that's the cost of denying your dark side. You don't eliminate it, You just hand the advantage to everyone who's willing to use theirs. You become the prey, pretending you're not in a world full of predators. You become the sheep who thinks his morality makes him noble when really it just makes him easier to herd. Think about a wolf. Does it apologize for being a predator? Does it feel guilty about hunting? Does it suppress its nature because someone told it that being dangerous is wrong? No. It hunts because that's what predators do. It uses its teeth because that's what teeth are for. And it doesn't pretend to be a sheep just to make the sheep more comfortable. But you've been trained to be the wolf who learned to bleat, to hide your teeth, to suppress your hunger, to pretend you're prey so you don't threaten anyone. And you think that makes you good. But really it just makes you confused, a predator trying to live like prey. And that confusion, that internal war between what you are and what you were taught to be, that's what's killing you. Because when you deny your dark side, it doesn't disappear, it just goes underground. It turns into resentment, into passive aggression, into depression, into rage that you can't express because you've been taught that anger is bad, into ambition that eats you alive because you're too guilty to pursue it, into a quiet, desperate hunger for power that you can never satisfy because you're too ashamed to admit you want it. And while you're performing goodness and suppressing your nature, someone else is integrating theirs. Someone else is learning when to use their dark side and when to use their light. Someone else is becoming the strategist while you're still trying to be the saint. And 10 years from now, they'll have everything you wanted. Not because they're smarter than you, not because they're better than you, but because they were willing to fight with both hands while you kept one tied behind your back. While you're reading about being a good person, someone else just closed a deal using Machiavellian tactics. While you're worried about being nice, they're taking the promotion you deserve. While you're suppressing your ambition because it feels selfish, they're building the empire you were too moral to create. They're not better than you, they're just fighting with both hands while you keep one tied behind your back. And here's what really breaks my brain about this. The people who use their dark side strategically, they're not the ones staying up at night feeling guilty. They're not the ones questioning whether they're good enough. They're not the ones suppressing their desires and wondering why life isn't working out. They sleep fine. They move through the world with confidence. They get what they want. And you know why? Because they're not at war with themselves. They've integrated their light and their dark. They know when to be kind and when to be ruthless. And that integration, that comfort with their full nature, that's what makes them powerful. You weren't born weak. You were trained to be. Trained by parents who wanted you compliant, by teachers who needed you obedient, by a society that requires your submission to function. And they used morality as the training tool. They convinced you that your dark side, your selfishness, your hunger for power, your capacity for manipulation, they convinced you that these things are evil, that good people don't want power, that ambition is greed, that strategic thinking is manipulation, that setting boundaries is selfish. But here's the thing about that programming. It only works if you never question it. It only controls you if you never examine who installed it and why. And the moment you start asking those questions, the moment you start wondering who benefits from you being nice all the time, the entire system starts to crack. So let me tell you what your dark side actually is. Because society has spent your entire life convincing you it's evil when really it's just honest. Your dark side is your ambition. Your hunger to be more, have more, achieve more. That desire you've been taught to feel guilty about. That's your dark side. And there's nothing wrong with it. Your dark side is your selfishness. Your recognition that you have needs and desires, and that sometimes, often, you need to put yourself first. That instinct you suppress every time you say yes when you mean no. That's your dark side, trying to protect you. Your dark side is your capacity for manipulation. Your ability to read people, understand what they want, and use that information strategically. That skill you've been taught to feel ashamed of. That's your dark side, and it's one of the most valuable skills you'll ever develop. Your dark side is your ruthlessness. Your willingness to cut people off who drain you, to walk away from situations that don't serve you, to prioritize your goals over other people's comfort. That hardness you've been taught makes you a bad person. That's your dark side, and it's what separates the people who achieve their dreams from the people who spend their lives serving everyone else's. Your dark side is your anger, your rage at being used, overlooked, underestimated. That fire you've been taught to suppress because anger isn't nice, That's your dark side. And it's fuel, it's energy, it's the force that drives you to demand better, to refuse to settle, to stop accepting crumbs when you deserve the whole meal. Your dark side is your ability to see through lies, to recognize when someone's performing virtue while playing a completely different game, to understand that most people are driven by self-interest and that morality is often just a mask they wear, that cynicism you've been taught makes you bitter. That's your dark side, and it's clarity, it's protection, it's what keeps you from being used by people who count on your naivety. This is your dark side. Not evil, not immoral, just honest, just real, just the parts of you that understand how the world actually works, instead of how you were told it works. But here's the key, and this is where most people get it wrong. Mastering your dark side doesn't mean becoming a monster. It doesn't mean abandoning your light. It doesn't mean being ruthless all the time or manipulative in every interaction. That's not integration. That's just swinging from one extreme to the other. And that's not sustainable. That's not strategic. That's not powerful. Integration means understanding that you have tools, light and dark, kindness and ruthlessness, collaboration and competition, vulnerability and armor. And the mastery isn't in choosing one side. It's in knowing which tool to use when. It's in being strategic enough to deploy the right energy at the right time for the right outcome. When do you use your dark side? When you're negotiating. When someone's trying to lowball you, or take advantage of you, or convince you to accept less than you're worth. That's when you need your ruthlessness, your willingness to walk away, your ability to let silence do the work while they squirm. That's when you need to be comfortable with your dark side. When you're competing, when someone's trying to take what's yours, or block your path, or defeat you in a zero-sum game, that's when you need your strategic mind, your ability to see 3 moves ahead, your willingness to do what they're not willing to do. That's when you need your dark side, when you're protecting yourself, when someone's trying to manipulate you or guilt you or use your goodness against you. That's when you need your ability to see through lies, your capacity to say no without explanation, your ruthlessness in cutting off people who drain you. That's when your dark side saves you. But when do you use your light? When you're building alliances, when you need people to trust you, follow you, invest in you. That's when you need your warmth, your ability to make people feel seen, your genuine care for their success, not because you're performing goodness, but because strategically, your light serves your goals in that moment. When you're creating loyalty, when you need people to stick with you through difficulty, to defend you when you're not in the room, to choose you over other options, that's when you need your light, your ability to make people feel valued, your willingness to invest in them. Again, not because you're a good person, but because strategically, loyalty is valuable and your light builds it. When you're recovering from your dark side, when you've been ruthless and you need to show that you're not a monster, when you've been competitive and you need to prove you can still collaborate, that's when you use your light, not to apologize for your darkness, but to show that you're integrated, that you can be both, that you're not consumed by either extreme. Picture this. You walk into a room. You don't need to speak loudly because everyone already leans in. You don't need to prove yourself because your results speak. When you set a boundary, people respect it immediately. When you negotiate, they know you'll walk away. When you're silent, they listen harder. When you speak, they act. That's not because you're good. It's not because you're evil. It's because you've mastered your dark side. Because you're comfortable with your full nature. Because people can sense that you're not performing anything. You're just being strategic. And strategy, real strategy, is terrifying. This is what Machiavelli understood. The prince must be both a lion and a fox. The lion for strength, the fox for cunning. You need both. The lion alone is too direct, too obvious, too easy to trap. The fox alone is too weak, too easily crushed by those with more strength. But together they're unstoppable. Machiavelli wrote that it's better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. But most people only remember the first part. They think he's saying be a tyrant, be cruel, make everyone afraid of you. But that's not it. He's saying that if you have to choose, fear is more reliable than love, because love is fickle. People love you until they don't. But fear, respect, the knowledge that you can and will protect yourself, that's stable, that's strategic. But the ideal is both, to be loved and feared, to be warm and dangerous, to be kind and ruthless, to have people want to be close to you and also know better than to cross you. That's integration, that's mastery, that's power. And here's what that looks like in practice. You're generous with people who are loyal, ruthless with people who betray you. You're collaborative when it serves your goals, competitive when the situation demands it. You're vulnerable with people you trust, armored with people who would use that vulnerability against you. You appear virtuous to everyone watching while being strategic about every move you make. This is the game. This is what Machiavelli was teaching. Not how to be evil, how to be effective, how to navigate a world where everyone else is already playing this game, whether you acknowledge it or not. How to stop being the person who brings a moral code to a knife fight and wonders why they keep losing. Because let me be clear about something. Your enemies, your competitors, the people who want what you have, they're already using their dark side. They're already being strategic. They're already manipulating. They're already ruthless when they need to be. The only question is whether you're going to keep fighting with one hand tied behind your back while they use both, or whether you're going to integrate your full nature and meet them as an equal. And here's what most people don't understand about Machiavelli. They think The Prince is a book about being evil, but it's not. It's a book about being honest, about describing the world as it is, not as we wish it were. Machiavelli looked at the most successful leaders in history and asked a simple question: what did they actually do? Not what did they say they did, not what did the history books claim they did. What did they actually do to gain power, keep power, and use power effectively? And what he found was uncomfortable. The most successful leaders weren't the most virtuous. They were the most strategic. They appeared virtuous when it served them. They were ruthless when necessary. They understood that the rules of morality were written by people who already had power, and that if you wanted to join them, you had to be willing to play by the real rules, not the fake ones they published for public consumption. Machiavelli wrote about Lorenzo de' Medici, about Cesare Borgia, about the Pope himself. And what he showed was that every single one of them used their dark side. Every single one of them was willing to be ruthless when the situation demanded it. Every single one of them understood that appearing good was useful, but being good was often fatal. There's a reason The Prince was banned. A reason the Catholic Church put it on the index of forbidden books. A reason that for centuries calling someone Machiavellian was considered one of the worst insults you could use. Because the book exposed the game. It pulled back the curtain on how power actually works. And the people who had power didn't want everyone else learning the rules. They wanted you to keep believing that goodness leads to success, that morality pays off, that if you just work hard and stay humble and be nice, eventually you'll be rewarded. Because as long as you believe that, you're not a threat, you're predictable, you're controllable, you're safe. But the moment you read Machiavelli, the moment you understand what he's actually saying, the game changes. You can't unsee it. You can't go back to believing the comfortable lies. You know now. You know that the world is run by people who mastered their dark side. That morality is a tool, not a law. That the person who appears most virtuous is often the most dangerous. And that if you want power, if you want freedom, if you want to build something that lasts, you need to be comfortable with your full nature. Think about the phrase, nice guys finish last. Everyone knows it. Everyone's heard it. But most people dismiss it as cynical. They tell themselves it's not true, that nice guys don't finish last, they just haven't found their moment yet. That eventually, somehow, being nice will pay off. But it's not cynical, it's observational. Nice guys finish last because they're playing by rules that everyone else abandoned. They're bringing morality to a strategy game, they're handicapping themselves and then wondering why they're losing. And the tragedy isn't that they finish last. The tragedy is that they never figure out why. Because the person who finishes first isn't evil. They're not a monster. They're not even particularly immoral. They just understood something the nice guy didn't. That niceness is a tool, not an identity. That you can be nice when it serves you and ruthless when it serves you. And the key is knowing which one to deploy when. The nice guy thinks his niceness makes him good. The winner knows that niceness is just one strategy among many. And that's the difference. That's why one finishes last and one finishes first. Not because the world is unfair, but because one person integrated their nature and the other suppressed half of it. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but I don't want to be manipulative. I don't want to be fake. I don't want to be the person who's only nice when it serves them. And I get it. That feels wrong. It feels like you're losing something essential about yourself, like you're becoming the villain. But you're not. Because here's what you're missing. You're already being strategic. You're already manipulating. You're already performing. You're just doing it unconsciously. You're already choosing when to be nice and when to be cold, when to help and when to ignore, when to engage and when to withdraw. You're already making these calculations. You're just not admitting it to yourself. The only difference between you and someone who's mastered their dark side is consciousness. They're aware of what they're doing. They're intentional about it. They've made peace with it. And you're doing the same things but lying to yourself about it. Telling yourself you're just being a good person when really you're being strategic too. You're just not good at it yet because you won't admit that's what you're doing. So integration isn't about becoming someone new. It's about becoming honest with yourself about who you already are. It's about acknowledging that you already have a dark side. You already think strategically. You already manipulate situations to get what you want. You already make choices based on self-interest. The only question is whether you're going to keep lying to yourself about it, or whether you're going to get conscious about it and actually get good at it. And when you do, when you finally integrate, something incredible happens. You stop feeling guilty. You stop feeling like you're doing something wrong, because you realize you're not. You're just being human. Humans are strategic. Humans have self-interest. Humans manipulate situations. That's not evil. That's evolution. That's how we survived as a species. And the only people who convinced you it was wrong, the ones who were already doing it themselves and didn't want competition. Let me give you an example. You're in a negotiation. Someone's trying to lowball you, pay you less than you're worth. And you know it. You know you're worth more. But you've been taught that being aggressive in negotiations is rude, that asking for what you want is greedy, that you should just be grateful for whatever they're offering. So what do? If you're the old you, the suppressed you accept it, you smile, you say thank you, and you leave feeling resentful and used. But you tell yourself you are being a good person, you are being humble, you are being grateful. But if you're integrated, you do something different. You know your worth. You state it clearly. And when they push back, you don't fold. You let the silence sit. You're comfortable with their discomfort. You're willing to walk away, not because you're being an asshole, but because you know that the person who can walk away has all the power. And you're not afraid to use it. That's your dark side. Your willingness to prioritize yourself, to let other people be uncomfortable, to use silence as a weapon, to walk away from something that doesn't serve you, even if it disappoints someone else. That's not evil. That's just effective. And the difference between you getting paid what you're worth and you getting used comes down to whether you're comfortable deploying that energy or not. Or think about relationships. You're seeing someone, and it's not working. You know it's not working. They're draining you. They're taking more than they're giving. But you've been taught that walking away is mean, that you should try harder, that good people stick it out, that if you just love them enough, eventually they'll change. So what do? If you're the old you stay. You keep trying, you keep giving, and you keep getting drained. And you tell yourself you're being loyal, you're being committed, you're being a good partner. But if you're integrated, you do something different. You recognize that your energy is valuable, that you don't owe anyone access to you, that walking away from something that's not serving you isn't cruel, it's necessary, and you leave, cleanly, without guilt, not because you don't care, but because you care about yourself enough to not stay in something that's killing you. That's your dark side, your ruthlessness, your ability to cut people off, to prioritize your well-being over their comfort, to recognize that some relationships are extractive and to end them without drowning in guilt. That's not evil, that's self-preservation. And it's one of the most important skills you'll ever learn. This is what mastering your dark side actually looks like. It's not becoming a monster, it's becoming conscious. It's recognizing the strategies you're already using and getting intentional about them. It's admitting that you have self-interest and that there's nothing wrong with that. It's understanding that you can be warm and dangerous, kind and ruthless, generous and selfish, and that all of those things can coexist in the same person at the same time without contradiction. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must know how to use both the nature of the beast and the nature of man. The beast for when force is required, man for when diplomacy works better. And the key is knowing which one the situation calls for. That's integration. That's mastery. That's what separates the people who build empires from the people who spend their lives serving them. And I need you to understand something. This isn't optional. This isn't some edge case that only applies to CEOs or politicians or people playing at the highest levels. This applies to you, right now, in your job, in your relationships, in every negotiation, every conflict, every situation where your interests and someone else's interests diverge. You're already in the game. The question is just whether you're playing it consciously or unconsciously, whether you're integrated or suppressed, whether you're using both hands or keeping one tied behind your back because someone convinced you that using it would make you bad. Your boss is already using their dark side. They're already being strategic about when to be nice and when to be demanding, when to give you recognition and when to withhold it, when to invest in you and when to extract from you. They're already playing the game, and if you're not, if you're just showing up every day being nice and working hard and hoping that eventually someone will notice and reward you, you're going to lose. Not because your boss is evil, but because they're conscious and you're not. Your competitors are already using their dark side. They're already willing to be aggressive when it serves them, to take credit for things they didn't fully do, to build alliances that benefit them, to cut you out of opportunities. They're already playing the game. And if you're not, if you're just focused on being good and doing quality work and trusting that merit will win, you're going to lose. Not because they're cheating, but because they understand something you don't. That success isn't about merit, it's about strategy. The people in your life who are taking advantage of you, they're already using their dark side. They're already willing to guilt you into doing things you don't want to do, to take more than they give, to use your kindness against you. They're already playing the game, and if you're not, if you're just trying to be a good friend or a good partner or a good person and you keep getting drained, it's not because they're evil and you're good. It's because they're conscious of what they're doing and you're not. This is the game, and you're in it whether you acknowledge it or not. The only choice you have is whether you're going to play it consciously and effectively, or unconsciously and poorly. Whether you're going to integrate your dark side and use it strategically, or suppress it and wonder why everyone else keeps winning. You can stay the sheep who's proud of being good, who tells himself that his morality makes him noble, who believes that eventually, somehow, being nice will pay off. You can keep suppressing your dark side and wondering why you're always overlooked, always underestimated, always used. You can keep performing goodness while others take everything you want. You can stay the sheep who's proud of being good, who tells himself that his morality makes him noble, who believes that eventually, somehow, being nice will pay off. You can keep suppressing your dark side and wondering why you're always overlooked, always underestimated, always used. You can keep performing goodness while others take everything you want. Or you can become the lion who's comfortable with his nature, who knows when to show teeth and when to purr, who understands that the world respects strength, not virtue, who's integrated enough to be warm and dangerous, kind and ruthless, collaborative and competitive, who stopped apologizing for wanting power and started actually building it, but not both. You can't be the sheep and the lion. You can't perform morality while everyone else plays strategy and expect to win. You have to choose. And that choice, that decision about who you're going to be, that determines everything. And understand something. If you choose integration, if you choose to master your dark side, it comes with a price. People will misunderstand you. They'll call you manipulative when you're just being strategic. They'll call you selfish when you're just protecting yourself. They'll call you ruthless when you're just refusing to be used. They'll accuse you of being Machiavellian, like it's an insult when really it's just a description of someone who sees reality clearly. You'll lose friends, the ones who needed you weak, the ones who benefited from your constant niceness, the ones who could only love you when you were suppressing yourself. They'll fall away, and it will hurt, because you'll realize they never loved you. They loved the version of you that served them. You'll be misunderstood, because most people are still performing the morality play. They're still pretending that goodness is the path to success. And when they see someone who's integrated, someone who's comfortable with their darkness, it threatens the entire framework they've built their identity on, so they'll attack you for it. They'll need you to be the villain, so they can stay the victim. You'll be lonely sometimes, because there aren't many people operating at this level. Most people never question their programming. They never examine their beliefs about good and evil. They never integrate their shadow. So the pool of people you can actually relate to, who understand what you're doing, who are playing the same game, it's small. But here's what you get in return. You get power. Real power. Not the performance of it, not the image of it, but the actual ability to shape your reality, to set boundaries that people respect, to negotiate outcomes that serve you, to build something that lasts because you weren't too moral to do what was necessary. You get freedom. Freedom from guilt, from shame, from the constant internal war between what you want and what you think you should want, from the exhausting performance of being good all the time. You just get to be yourself, fully, without apology. You get effectiveness. You get to move through the world as someone who understands how it actually works, who can read people, who can strategize, who can deploy the right energy at the right time, who doesn't handicap themselves with moral rules that nobody else follows. You get respect, real respect, not the kind people give you because you're nice and they feel sorry for you, but the kind you earn by being formidable, by being someone who can't be pushed around, by being someone who knows their worth and won't accept less. And most importantly, you get alignment. You get to stop being at war with yourself, to stop suppressing half of who you are, to integrate your light and your dark into a coherent whole, to be the lion who can also be gentle, the predator who can also nurture, the strategist who can also be warm, all of it, not performing any of it, just being it. 10 years from now, you're in one of two places. Option 1, you're still the nice guy, still putting others first, still wondering why you're overlooked, still believing that eventually, somehow, your goodness will pay off. You're older, more bitter, more resentful, but still performing morality because it's all you know, still suppressing your dark side, still losing to people who integrated theirs, still confused about why being good hasn't gotten you what you want. You watch other people succeed, people who are less moral than you, less kind, less selfless, and you tell yourself they're just lucky or evil, or that they sold their souls because you can't admit the truth, that they're just playing a game you refuse to learn, that they mastered something you're too afraid to touch, that your goodness isn't a virtue, it's a limitation. Option 2, you've integrated. You know when to show teeth and when to smile. You've built something real because you stopped waiting for permission. You've mastered your dark side and it serves you instead of controlling you. People respect you, not because you're nice, but because you're effective, because you're formidable, because they know you can be warm or dangerous depending on what the situation requires. You're not at the party anymore. You're hosting it. You're not waiting to be chosen. You're doing the choosing. You're not performing morality and hoping it pays off. You're being strategic and watching it compound. You sleep well. You move with confidence. You get what you want, not because you're a monster, but because you stopped being ashamed of your full nature and started leveraging it. That happened because you stopped suppressing your dark side and started mastering it. Because you read Machiavelli and realized he wasn't teaching evil, he was teaching reality. Because you integrated your light and your dark and became the kind of person who can navigate a complex world with both hands free. So choose now. Will you keep performing goodness while everyone else plays strategy? Will you keep suppressing your dark side and wondering why you're always losing? Will you keep being the sheep who thinks his morality makes him noble, when really it just makes him easy to herd? Or will you step into integration? Will you become the lion who's comfortable with his nature? Will you master your dark side and use it strategically? Will you stop apologizing for wanting power and start actually building it? Will you embrace what Machiavelli taught and become the kind of person who can be both loved and feared, kind and ruthless, warm and dangerous? Because here's the truth. The world doesn't reward the most moral person. It rewards the most effective one. The person who can integrate their light and their dark. The person who can be the lion and the fox. The person who stops performing virtue and starts being strategic. Your dark side isn't evil. It's honest. It's real. It's the part of you that sees clearly. And mastering it doesn't make you a monster. It makes you free. Free to build what you want. Free to protect what you love. Free to move through the world as someone who understands the game and plays it well. If you've made it this far, it's because a part of you already knows this truth. Your dark side was never the enemy. It was the part of you that refused to be naive, refused to be weak, refused to be controlled. Suppressed darkness turns inward and destroys you. Mastered darkness turns outward and protects you. Now tell me in the comments, are you ready to stop pretending you're harmless? Are you willing to integrate the part of yourself that others fear, but secretly respect? If this message touched you, if it made sense, write in the comments, I master my darkness. Let's see how many here are truly ready to stop fighting themselves and start becoming whole. And don't forget, keep watching the next video. It's important, much more than you imagine. See you there.